So the question is about the warning on texting and driving, and yes, and from now until until December 31st, it's a warning for texting and driving. You'll still be pulled over, but it'll be a warning, and from January 1 on, there'll be a fine associated with it.
We're not initiating
We felt that there was a time to basically allow motorists to understand what is going to happen to them, and it will be a little bit more effective. It was much more easily passed doing it that way than having it effective immediately. Yes, sir.
With the mayor of Jupiter Island, more relevant, member of the bar for 50 years, practicing lawyer. And I appreciate the three of you do. I appreciate the bills that have been passed, you've identified. But one of the bills you have passed that awaits governor's signature is 7103, these affordable housing or whatever it's called. And there are a variety of provisions in there that chip away once again at home rule. One provision there is a practicing attorney of a half century I'm really offended by. I'd address this question to each of you, asking you how you voted and then why you voted. There's a provision in this bill that turns around a practice of civil litigation in the United States. It is pretty standard in all 50 states, and that is, if I sue Rick Cassell, and it's because I want to disrupt a campaign he might hold at some point.
And he deserves it.
And he deserves it. Seriously, I sue him. Happens to be another lawyer, somewhere. And I do it in good faith, thinking I have a claim, and I lose. I don't pay his legal bill. No matter what preposterous development program he's proposed. Unless I sue him, and I have malice, which is a legal term, but we know what the word malicious means. Bad faith. I'm suing him not for the underlying cause, presumably it's groundless if I'm being malicious and bringing the suit. I'm suing him maliciously. Then, our standard practice as lawyers in the United States of America, in order not to discourage litigants, by the way, the rule in England, and we adopted their rules in 1776, we didn't adopt their rule which says the loser pays. Here, this bill turns this practice in the United States around. Any of these people in this room as private litigants, any group of private litigants, if the guardians of Martin County, if the commissioners of Mountain County, if the town of Jupiter Island, if the challenging developer was seeking, for instance, to break the comprehensive plan, put in more housing out west than the current plan permits, and you sue, the rule I practiced law under for 50 years is, as long as I'm not doing it maliciously to undermine something, as long as I have some basis to bring a lawsuit, and if I lose, God bless, I try to make a point, but I don't pay the developer's expenses. This bill turns it around so that if it's a major developer, DeVos, any of the number of them are out there, and I sue, and I'm representing myself pro bono, or I'm a 501c3, and this is in my public charter to bring a suit, but it's a private litigant suit. Guess what happens if you lose? If the developer has a battery of $1,000 an hour litigating lawyers, you don't just pay the court costs $100, you're going to pay his entire legal bill. Guess what that's going to do in terms of chilling private groups, private citizens trying to protect, to support comprehensive plans that are being challenged by developers. It's going to chill them, unless all of you are Bill Gates or something and have that kind of check. You can run a 6-digit figure after you lose, bringing a lawsuit in good faith. Now, I would ask each of our representatives and senator how they voted on this bill, and I would advise them, as they probably know, Harold Jenkins, I think on behalf of Martin County, Stacy's here also, the town of Jupiter Island has opposed this. The League of Women Voters opposed this. I assume there's a developer group who contributes to the Tallahassee, et cetera, proposed it. But how did you vote and why did you vote? Thank you. Too long-winded.
I think we all voted in the affirmative, and there were many other good provisions in this bill. I believe Toby's going to pull out some of them as well. But many of the other provisions were really to save taxpayer dollars. On this specific specific issue, like so many bills, there are many, many parts of the bill and what goes into it.
I would just add to that, that when you look at a bill, you have to look at comprehensively at the bill and see exactly what it does. We've had many lawsuits in the state of Florida. Our county commission spent a fortune on lawsuits and things and have had to pay many, many fees along the way. So we want to use your tax dollars as carefully and as conservatively as possible. I'll have to look up the specific provisions of the bill to see exactly what was in it, because off the top of my head, we had over 3,000 bills. I can't remember every caveat and detail of each one, but we'll be happy to get back with you.
If I may, I'll also point out that Martin County's county commission sent a letter in opposition to it.
We will look at it individually and see exactly what the bill provided.
Representative Odegaard?
And many other times, I understand that the county commission perhaps doesn't agree with something or they're for something. We try and look at it from our constituents' point of view as well, not just from the elected officials'